And welcome back. It's good to see you all again. I've been a little busy. Let's continue with the Zombie Survival Guide, Complete Protection from the Living Dead by Max Brooks himself. So, last we left off, I believe we're up to weapons and combat techniques. At least 15 or 20 of them, men, women, children, we opened up at 70, maybe 80 meters. I could see chunks of flesh blasting off their bodies. Our rounds were hitting their mark. They kept coming, they just kept coming. I sighted one and let go a full burst from my BXP. I know I snapped his spine, because the man dropped like a leaf. Legs still twitching, he kept crawling after me. At 20 meters we opened up with the Vector. Nothing. I watched bits of organ and bone blow out their backs. I watched limbs literally sawed off at the joints. The SS-77 is the best MG ever made. 840 meters per second, 800 rounds per minute, and it wasn't doing a goddamn thing. What grenades we had only downed one of them. One. His mangled body lay motionless with a still snapping head. Name withheld, let go. Name withheld. Let go with his RPG. The damn rocket went right through one of its soft targets and took out a rock behind it. Finally, at 5 meters, we used the last bit of fuel in the flamethrower. The sons of bitches lit up like torches, but just wouldn't stop. One of them grabbed, name withheld, setting him on fire as it bit through his neck. I saw the rest of those things surround him as we took off for the jungle, a mob of burning bodies squatting down to tear another screaming Human Torch apart. God damn the devil's mother, what the hell were we supposed to do? Serbian mercenary during the Syrian Civil War, 1994. Interesting. I haven't heard of the Syrian Civil War of 1994. It's strange that there were zombies in there, but you know what? I'm glad that someone got it sorted out. Now, choosing the right weapons. Never carry just one. Choosing the right weapons can make the difference between a pile of dead zombies and becoming one yourself. When confronted with the undead, it is easy to believe in the super commando strategy. Load up with the heaviest, most powerful weapons possible and go out to kick ass. This is not only foolish, it is suicidal. Zombies are not camp guards in some POW escape movie crumbling en masse with the first theatrical volley. Arming yourself with a zombie encounter requires careful consideration, a cool head, and a practical analysis of all factors involved. Couldn't agree more. General rules. Obey the law. Regulations governing weapons such as firearms and explosives depend on your location. Follow them to the letter. Punishment may range from a sizable fine to an incarceration. In any case, the resulting criminal record is something you cannot afford. When the dead rise, law enforcement must look upon you as a model citizen, someone to be trusted and left alone, not a felon of questionable background who should be interrogated at the first sign of trouble. Fortunately, as this chapter will show, simpler legal weapons will serve you much better than paramilitary death machines. 2. Train consistently. This is just a thing for everybody, I believe. No matter what weapon you choose, from a simple machete to a semi-automatic rifle, it must become an extension of your body. Practice as often as possible. If classes are available, by all means sign up. Learning from qualified instructors will save immense time and energy. If the device can be disassembled, do so, both in sunlight and in total darkness, until you know every pin, every spring, every curve, and every edge of that all-important machine. With practice will come both experience and confidence, 2 traits you must develop in order to successfully do battle with the living dead. History has proven that a well-trained individual with nothing but a rock has a better chance of surviving than a novice with the latest technological marvels. Number 3. Care for your tools. Weapons, no matter how simple they may be, must be cared for as if they were living things. Anyone with firearms experience knows that inspection and cleaning are part of everyday use. This also applies to close combat weapons. Blades need polish and rust protection. Grips need checking and maintenance. Never abuse your tools or expose them to unnecessary damage. If possible, have them tested regularly by experienced professionals. These experts may detect early stage defects imperceptible to the amateur user. That's an interesting thing. More people should know lots more about their tools. Beware display items. Many companies offer a variety of replica weapons, such as swords, bows, etc., that are meant merely for decoration. Always search your chosen item thoroughly and ensure that it is intended for actual use in the real world. Do not rely solely on the company's word. Battle ready may mean and the item could withstand a few blows on a theatrical stage or at some historical fair, but it will snap in half during a life or death confrontation. If resources permit, purchase a duplicate item and train with it to the breaking point. Only then you should trust in its abilities. It's pretty sound advice, actually, if you ask me. Number 5. Develop the first weapon. The human body, if cared for and trained properly, is the greatest weapon on earth. Americans are notorious for their bad diet, lack of exercise, and relentless fetish for labour-saving technology. Well, I don't believe it's just the Americans anymore. As recognisable as the term couch potato is. Now, where was I? As recognisable as the term couch potato is, a more accurate term would be cattle. Fat, lazy, listless, and ready to be eaten. Weapon number 1. The biological tool that is your body can be transformed from prey to predator. Obey a strict diet and physical fitness regime. Concentrate on cardiovascular instead of strength building exercises. Monitor any chronic health conditions you may have, no matter how small, even if your worst ailment is allergies. Treat them regularly. When a situation does arise, you must know exactly what your body is capable of. Study and master at least one martial art. Make sure it's in the emphasis of escaping holds rather than delivering blows. Knowing how to slip from a zombie's clutches is the single most important skill you can possess when you find yourself in close combat. Well, that is quite an interesting take, really. Surely fitness is quite imperative. You should always have that in mind. But never needing to use it is also quite important, as you can imagine. Close combat. Hand-to-hand combat should always be avoided. Oh, well, look at that. They just say that straight out. So that's really good. Given a zombie's lack of speed, it is much easier to run or walk quickly than stand and fight. But that's if you're against the ones that list lazily. Yes, so if they're running like from the 2004 Dawn of the Dead movie, which we'll, study in case later, it may be very hard. Like, you may find that it's hard pressing running at least 100 meters flat without stopping, without breaking. If you haven't done it for a while, or you're not an athlete in any sense, maybe you work at a desk job, or maybe you do something that's requiring you to stay in the one place at the one time. Obviously, everyone's a little different. Some people will be able to run 100 meters straight off the bat. I know I couldn't, but that's just me. You think I'd be ready for these things. However, it may be necessary to destroy a zombie at close quarters. When this happens, split-second timing is critical. A wrong move, a moment's hesitation, and you may feel cold hands gripping your arm or a sharp, broken teeth biting into your flesh. For this reason, above all, choosing a close combat weapon is more important than any other in this section. There's a nice little picture there of someone fending off another individual in some form of a judo-like stance. Number 1. Bludgeons. When using a blunt weapon, the goal is to crush the brain. Remember, the only way to kill a zombie is by destroying its brain. This is not as easy as it sounds. The human skull is one of the hardest, most durable of surfaces in nature. So, of course, it is the zombie's extreme force. Is the zombies. Extreme force is needed to fracture, let alone shatter it. However, this must be done with a single, well-placed blow. Missing your target or failing to breach the bone will leave you with no second chance. Sticks, axe handles, and other wooden clubs are good for knocking a zombie out of the way or beating off an individual attack. What they lack is the weight and strength necessary for a lethal strike. A section of lead pipe will work for a single encounter, but it is too heavy for those on the move. A sledgehammer has the same drawback, and also requires practice for its user to hit a moving target. Aluminium bats are light enough to work for one, maybe two fights, but are known to bend after prolonged use. The standard one-handed carpenter's hammer has striking power but severely limited reach. Its short handle allows the zombie to grab your arm and pull it in. Oh. The police baton, made of an acetate plastic in most cases, is strong enough for any battle but lacks the lethal power for a one-blow kill. Note, this was intended in its design, pretty much, unless it was a nightstick. Actually, I don't know that, actually. The best bludgeon is a steel crowbar. Couldn't agree more. Its relatively lightweight and durable construction makes it ideal for prolonged close combat. Its curved, semi-sharpened edge also allows for a stabbing motion through the eye socket, directly into the brain case. Brain case. Different. More than one survivor has reported killing zombies in this manner. Another benefit for the crowbar is that it may be necessary to pry open a door, shift a heavy object, or perform other tasks for which it was originally designed. None of these functions can be accomplished with any of the previously mentioned items. Even lighter and more durable than the steel crowbar is the titanium model, now trickling into Western markets from Eastern Europe and the former Soviet Union. I don't know who their intended audience is with this thing. Then again, I don't know of all the zombie encounters that have happened. It's quite possible. Number 2, edged weapons. Blades in any form have advantages and disadvantages over bludgeons. Those that have enough strength to split the skull rarely stand up after many repetitions. For this reason, slicing, particularly decapitation, serves almost the same function as a head blow. Note, the severed head of a zombie is still able to bite and must be regarded as a threat. Where was I? Sorry. The forces of Kryn called me, and I had to answer. Yes. The advantage of slicing over bludgeoning is that it can make killing a zombie unnecessary. In some cases, simply chopping off a limb or severing the spine is enough to disable an undead assailant. Note, severing a limb also brings the possibility of contact with the virus through the exposed area. Now, this is an important thing because when you think about it, you see the chainsaw as a common item in zombie themes and zombie sort of movies, so to speak. And I don't know if this book's going to touch on it, but the exposure to blood and contracting things from blood in general at that level of gore is it's incredible. It's something that I'd never expose myself to if I was in this situation, because you've got to think about it. If you have an open wound, like say for example you've been trudging through the swamps, okay, between towns after a heavy rainstorm or something like that, or what's a better thing, for example, you've been held up for a long time in your fortress or area that you've warded off to defend against the zombies, and you trip over, skin your knee, okay, or you're opening doors, building things. Mechanics would know in particular how much you bump and scrape and twist and turn and abrase the skin, so to speak. So you have to imagine these everyday things, or even blisters, or other forms of different things, or if you punch a zombie, so to speak, or everything that would cause just normal walking or damage to the skin structure, like if you were running through the forest, for example, or if you ran into a fence, or you were jogging, so on and so forth. You weren't wearing the protective gear or the proper protective gear, or even if you were to splash it upon your face and you didn't have the correct eyewear, it would cause some sort of absorption of the blood, so to speak. So I feel like I hope they touch on it in this book, but if they do, it might expose that chainsaws and other melee weapons that do cause a lot of splattering, not very good. Like, I suppose I've always thought of it like when you're in the pool and you're bashing your arms up and down and you hit water, and sometimes it might splash up on your face and it might go in your mouth a little bit. Now, that's an extremity, and or not maybe not the exact same. I've never murdered an individual or anything, so it's a bit hard to say. But I feel like it's just a bad exposure that you shouldn't have. So all forms really of exposing yourself to fighting or coming into contact with the undead should be avoided in any sense, no matter how um, interest like how well trained you are, or well endowed in the skills of zombie killing prowess. So unless you have like an immunity like Left 4 Dead for example, that's a different story. When you're immune to such a virus, I guess it doesn't really matter as much, does it then? But anyway, continue. Sorry, I went off topic. Well, not really off topic, but I went off the book. Um, the civilian axe can easily crush a zombie skull, smashing through the bone and the brain in one swing. Decapitation is equally easy. See, I don't think so. I don't know how many of you have actually swung an axe, but to hit a moving target on something that gives way, it's not like wood. Flesh gives way in a sense. Like if you hit flesh, it kind of like it chops in, but then it kind of imagine like you're hitting a balloon filled with water. But anyway, decapitation is equally easy, which is why the axe has been the favoured tool of executioners for centuries. Well, battle axe, yes, I should have read that more, but I thought that was talking about a civilian axe. Connecting with a moving head, however, might be difficult. Furthermore, if the swing ends in a total miss, you might be taken off balance. Yeah, quite possibly. The smaller, one-handed hatchet is a good weapon of last resort. If you find yourself cornered and larger weapons are useless, a hatchet blow will more than take care of the attacker. The sword is the ideal edged weapon, but not every kind will suffice. Foils, rapiers, and smaller fencing weapons are not suited for slicing. Their only possible use would be directly stab them through the eye socket, followed by a quick swirling action through the brain. This motion, however, has been accomplished only once by a trained swordsman, and is therefore not recommended. Single-handed longswords allow you a free hand for other tasks, or room for activities, that wasn't in the book, such as opening a door or defending your body with a shield. Their only drawback is the lack of swinging power. Well, one arm may not have the strength to slice through the thick cartilage between bones. Another drawback is its user's notorious lack of accuracy. Scoring a flesh wound anywhere on the body of a living opponent is one thing. Making an exact, clean chop through the neck is something else altogether. So they do mention things about what I talked about. Double-handed swords could be considered the best in their class, providing the strength and accuracy for perfect decapitation. Of this type, the Japanese samurai katana ranks first. Its weight, 3 to 5 pounds, is perfect for long-term conflicts, and its blade can sever the toughest organic fibre. Yeah, it's up for debate. I believe that a well-trained, in my opinion, on the forces of both, say, Nordic or Oriental prowess in sword fighting, both have significant strength, style, and ability to decapitate or to cut through the toughest of organic fibre. I wouldn't say that. Yes, the katana is quite light and quite easy to whirl through the air and to cut off someone's limbs, so on and so forth. That's what they're for. That's what they're designed for. But I think it's an underestimation to say that it's possibly the best. There are the best of strength may not necessarily beat the best of dexterity, but dexterity may not beat the best of strength neither. So, something to think about. In tight quarter, shorter blades hold the advantage. The Roman gladius is one choice. Although combat-ready replicas are hard to find, the Japanese Nanjite boasts a two-handed grip and, in genuine models, renowned tempered steel. Both factors make it a superior weapon. The common machete, because of its size, weight, and availability, is probably your best choice. You see, machetes or parangs slightly different, but I'm very fond of the kukri. The kukri is quite an important choice. If possible, find the military type, usually sold at army surplus stores. Its steel tends to be of higher quality and is blackened blade helps concealment at night for those stealth missions. Number 3. Miscellaneous hand weapons. Spears, pikes, and tridents serve to skewer a zombie, keeping it out of reach, but not necessarily scoring a kill. The chance of an eye socket stab is possible, but remote. The medieval European halberd, an axe-spear hybrid, may serve as a chopping weapon, but again requires great amounts of skill and practice to accomplish a decapitating blow. Other than using them as bludgeons, of course, or keeping your attacker at a distance, these weapons serve little purpose. Morning stars or flails, a spike-balled chain to a rod, do basically the same damage as a crowbar, albeit in a more dramatic way. I mean, flails are a 50-50 weapon. When you get onto the battlefield and a man has a flail, he's either really, really good at using that flail, or he doesn't know what he's doing with the flail, but it's still scary to even go up near him and fight him. The owner swings the rod in a wide circular motion, providing enough momentum to bring the ball crashing through the skull of his or her opponent. Using this weapon takes considerable skill and is therefore not recommended. Again, see, but if you're a bandit and someone comes at you and you have a knife, okay, you're standing there, you've pulled a knife, alright, you're defending your home from someone coming to steal your rations, and this individual pulls out a flail. Okay? No matter who he is, how he is, what he's doing, that's a flail. And that's going to hurt if it gets you. Now you're thinking about that, while he's already just like, oh ho ho, I have no idea what I'm doing, but I can see that guy's really stunted by this, and then that's when they get you. So, food for thought. With zombies it doesn't really work that much, but, maybe you've got weapons for zombie killings, and then you got weapons for marauding and stealing supplies. The medieval European mace serves the same function as the standard household hammer, but without the benefit of the latter's practical uses. A mace cannot pry open a door or a window, drive a chisel, or hammer a nail. Attempting such an act could result in accidental injury. Therefore, carrying this medieval weapon only when no alternative is available. Yes, it's true. But if it's in an area where you're actually ready to fight and defend, like, say for example, if you had a small crawl space that you intend to open so then zombies can try and crawl their way through, and then you stand on the other side and just bonk, 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 push them back, bonk, bonk, push them back, bonk, bonk, so on and so forth. I think it comes down to, with a mace, not a flail, a mace, it comes down to a very important kind of situational awareness. So, anyway, knives are always useful, serving a variety of functions in a range of situations. Unlike a hatchet, they can kill a zombie only when the blade is stabbed through the temple, eye socket, or the base of the skull. On the flip side, knives almost always weigh less than hatchets, and therefore are better if you are on the move. I mean, yeah, most definitely. But again, it depends on what knife, because say a Bowie knife is quite different to a kukri. I think most people would agree in that. But the thing is, you will get far more of a better chop with a kukri, especially like a half decent kukri, than what you would with any kind of Bowie knife or hunting knife. So it's certainly one of those things. Now, where are we? When choosing a knife, make sure the blade is no more than 6 inches long and always smooth. Avoid serrated knives and saw blade combinations found in survival knives, as they tend to become lodged in the victims. Yes, it's true. Imagine yourself stabbing one zombie through the temple and turning to engage another 3 ghouls, but not being able to retrieve your blade. The trench spike is, without a doubt, the best compact anti-zombie weapon on Earth. Ooh, that is a tough statement to say there, but you know what? I'm not going to argue that in a sense, because it is really, really good. I didn't even think of it until now. Probably because they're outlawed where I live, so you're not allowed to really have those. So seeing one is quite rare, so it never really stays in my mind. It is a combination of a 7-inch steel spike for a blade and a brass knuckles for the handle. It was developed during the vicious hand-to-hand combat of World War I, where soldiers killed each other in the trenches no wider than a few feet. Specifically, it was designed to stab downward through an enemy's steel helmet. You can imagine how effective this weapon would be against a zombie. The user could stab easily through the zombie skull, withdraw quickly, and then turn to either brain another zombie, or at the very least knock one over with the brass knuckle punch to the face. Now, I want to address something that I've found with a lot of people that criticize zombies in a sense, and it's in regards to blunt force trauma to zombies. Like, so, I've seen and heard that a few people ask, "Oh, well, that zombie fell off that roof. Why didn't he just get up straight away? He's undead and he kept moving towards them." Or, you shot this zombie in the stomach and it fell over. Why did it stop moving and then get up 30 seconds later and then bite the person next to it, so on and so forth? Not to say that these people are wrong. Like, it's a bit strange, but trauma is a big thing, and like my background is about 15 years of judo, so I want you to understand that I understand in part how easy it is to knock someone unconscious from trauma. Now, I have seen people get knocked unconscious by being thrown, and that's by half a meter high. They've been thrown over the hip of another person, landed, and in such a way they've whiplashed their head in a sense that they've become unconscious. And, in some cases, concussed. Some people have been very badly hurt. So I want you to imagine that's from half a meter, or a meter, so to speak. Mostly around a meter, really. The big ones are sometimes 1.8, 2 meters even, when depending on how far you're throwing them up over your head and things like that. But imagine falling off a building now. Even if you're a zombie and undead and you land on the ground on your feet as a zombie, it snaps your bones in half, so on and so forth. The core of the zombie crumples. It's not intending to stop itself from hitting the ground, so its head's going to come down at some point and be rattled around in there. Like, you imagine getting punched in the head. Now imagine that, but it's the earth, and gravity's pushing you down. So you can understand why they get hit in that sense and they stop moving for a little while. Now, you say, okay, well, what about when you shoot them? Now, I don't know about any of you guys, but if I got shot in the chest, okay, that's a hell of a lot of force coming out of a gun that's going to destroy you. Like, you see these videos online about people shooting target dummies and what it does to people. Their head has to somehow look after itself and not kind of bounce around in there, and I think you'll find that's quite hard to do. But anyway, so just food for thought, because, like, if someone read that and they were like, well, you can't knock out a zombie. Well, no, you can't knock out a zombie, but at least you need to understand that you're rattling the brain in there and it's going to hurt it quite a lot. Anyway, original models are extremely rare, with barely a few remaining in museums and the homes of private collectors. However, if accurate, detailed schematics can be found, have one or perhaps two combat-ready, stress-tested replicas made. They will be an investment you will never regret. It's true. It's true.